The judiciary. Everyone wants to live in peace, but still there are certain occasions when unrest is there amongst the people. In that situation, we need courts for justice. In cases of thefts, robberies, or murders, police arrests the offenders, but the punishment is given only by the court of law. The parliament and the state assemblies pass laws for the citizens. If anyone feels that his or her fundamental rights are being violated, he or she can approach a high court or the Supreme Court. The cases that come to the courts are of two types. The cases which involve theft, robbery, murder, etc. come under criminal cases, and those that are concerned with property, contracts, etc. come under civil cases. What is judiciary? The judiciary is the organ of the government that interprets the law. It applies the law to punish the guilty, to settle disputes, and to protect the citizens' rights, including fundamental rights. The judiciary consists of a system of courts. A person accused of an offense can be punished only if proved guilty in a court. Depending upon the offense, the guilty can be fined, sent to prison, or even sentenced to death. Structure of the judiciary. The structure of the Indian judiciary is like a pyramid. The Supreme Court, which is at the top, has high courts below it. The high courts, in turn, have district and lower courts below them. We have a single and united judiciary. This means a case may be taken from the lowest court to the highest court through appeals. The Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is the highest court in India. It is located in New Delhi. All the other courts are subordinate courts. At present, the total number of judges, including the Chief Justice, is 25. The Chief Justice and other judges of the Supreme Court are appointed by the President. Chief Justice and other judges. The Chief Justice heads the Supreme Court. He is appointed by the President of India. Other judges are appointed by the President in due consultation with the Chief Justice of India. These qualifications are essential to become a judge of the Supreme Court. He should be a citizen of India. He should be an advocate with at least 10 years of experience, or a judge of the High Court for 5 years, or a distinguished jurist in the opinion of the President. Hierarchy of Indian judicial system. Supreme Court, High Court, subordinate courts at district level, civil courts, criminal courts, subordinate courts, service tribunals, tax tribunals, debts recovery tribunals, railways claim tribunals. Terms of office. The judges of the Supreme Court retire at the age of 65. They can be removed from their office by the President if they are found guilty of misuse of authority. Before that, a motion has to be passed by the Parliament. Powers and functions of the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court of India performs a number of functions like judicial, administrative, advisory, and others. Jurisdiction. Powers of the Supreme Court are original jurisdiction. In certain cases, the Supreme Court is the sole authority to discharge the function. Such cases originate in the Supreme Court only and include the disputes between two or more states, the disputes between the Union government and one or more state governments, cases involving the violation of the Constitution. Appellate jurisdiction. The Supreme Court is the highest judicial body. It hears appeals against the judgments of the high courts. The Supreme Court has powers to grant special leave to appeal against the judgment delivered by any court in the country. It can also review its own judgment. It hears appeal in the cases as shown here. When a high court certifies that a particular case should be tried in the Supreme Court, when a high court changes the decision of a lower court in the criminal case and awards death punishment. Advisory jurisdiction. The President may refer any matter of constitutional importance to the Supreme Court for its opinion. The President may accept or reject the advice. Functions of the Supreme Court are custodian of the Constitution. It is the duty of the Supreme Court to uphold the sanctity of the Constitution. It can review a central or state law to establish its legality or otherwise. If the Parliament passes any law that is against the Constitution, the Supreme Court can declare that law as unconstitutional. Guardian of Fundamental Rights. The Supreme Court of India is the guardian of the fundamental rights of the citizens of India. It protects the fundamental rights from being eroded, abridged, or infringed upon by any person, group of persons, or the state itself. It can issue writs to the offending party or parties. Advisory functions. Another very important function of the Supreme Court of India is its obligation to advise on constitutional as well as other matters of law to any government department, legislature, the President, or the Council of Ministers, whoever seeks it. Court of Record. The Supreme Court acts as the court of record also. All the decisions and decrees issued by the Supreme Court itself are duly printed and kept in record for future reference in the court, as well as for the use of lawyers in their pleadings. Important decisions by the High Courts of the land are also kept in record for future by the Supreme Court. High Court. The High Court is the highest court of justice in a state. It hears appeals against the decisions of the lower courts. Cases relating to civil and criminal appeals are also heard directly in the High Court. The High Court also makes rules for the working of the subordinate courts. Composition and qualifications. A High Court has the Chief Justice and as many other judges as the Parliament fixes from time to time, and if the workload is more, they may be judged from the subordinate courts that can be called by the Chief Justice of the High Court. Qualifications needed by the Chief Justice as well as other judges of the High Court are: he should be a citizen of India. He should have worked as a judge for not less than 10 years. The Chief Justice is appointed by the President in consultation with the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court and the Governor of the state concerned. Service conditions. The Chief Justice holds the office till they attain the age of 62 years. He or she can also face impeachment on charges of misconduct, as is the case with the judges of the Supreme Court. Original jurisdiction. The original jurisdiction of the High Court is very limited. Cases relating to fundamental rights, divorce, wills and laws relating to marriage can be brought directly to a High Court. The High Courts of the three presidency towns of Mumbai, Chennai and Kolkata, however, possess an original jurisdiction over cases arising within the presidency. Appellate jurisdiction. All the decisions made by the subordinate courts in all types of civil as well as criminal matters can be brought to the High Courts by an appeal. Only those civil cases which are decided by the petty courts under the jurisdiction of the High Court concerned can be brought to the High Court or any other court by an appeal. Supervisory jurisdiction. The High Court controls and supervises the working of the lower courts by examining their records. It maintains a record of all of its decisions and proceedings, which are quoted by the lawyers of the subordinate courts. Subordinate courts. The courts at the district level and below it are known as subordinate courts. There are different courts to decide the civil and the criminal cases. The highest is that of the district judge, who decides the civil cases. The highest criminal court in a district is that of the Court of Session Judges. The judges and magistrate of the subordinate courts are appointed by the governor of the state from the state judicial services, as recommended by the State Public Service Commission. Their pay and allowances are decided by the state concerned from time to time. Lok Adalats. Usually the courts that we have take much time to decide different cases, and a lot of money is spent on it. To save time and money, Lok Adalats have been set up in our country. Under this system, a large number of cases are decided in a single day. Lok Adalat means people court. The Lok Adalat was held in Delhi in 1985. These Lok Adalats have proved useful not only for the poor, but they have lightened the burden of other courts also. They eliminate the delay and speed up clearance of the pending cases. Importance of courts are: they keep a check on the power of legislatures and executives. They protect the fundamental rights of the citizens. They decide on the center-state disputes or the disputes between two or more states. They act as the custodian of the Constitution. Through these, People can get their disputes settled fast and free of cost.